I'm afraid.
Why don't you play us something, baby? Why don't you play us something? Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start? I don't feel so good.
It's fucking molten!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our final episode on Cuff.
Day 5.
Day 5.
Day 5. Forgot to mention that last episode was our 300th episode as a podcast. That's pretty cool, but this is 301.
Exciting.
So that's
301. I
301.
like 301 even better, though.
301's not as fun.
Breaking off a hundo, though. Breaking off a hundo, right?
Yeah, that's true. We did break off another hundo.
Don't worry. Our next episode will be a celebration
Absolutely.
of our last 300 episodes.
And we wanted to make sure that we got all of our Cuff stuff in here without compromising.
Absolutely.
What we're going to be celebrating for our 300th episode.
For sure.
302nd episode. Wow, the last day of Calgary Underground Film Festival.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, we made it through. We've seen all of them now. We've seen them all this time. We've seen them all again. We saw everything last year, I think, except we missed In Fabric, which we ended up reviewing later anyways.
Yeah, because they didn't. They played it during all the other good stuff.
Yeah, so it was like we had to make a choice, and I think I don't remember what it was, but we made the right choice.
Sure.
But In Fabric also ripped. So
yeah, In Fabric was good.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's not talk about last year. Let's talk about this year.
Let's talk about this year. This year ripped less, I would
ripped
say.
Less,
It
but
ripped
to be
less.
fair, they did put it together in like a month and a half.
In a month and a half, so this was a very difficult thing to put together as well. They had to find movies that didn't want to be, skip their theatrical release, just anything that would be willing to go onto a streaming service. That's sort of what they had to find. There's way less movies this year. I think there was about 26 last year. This year there was 22. So maybe not way less, but less.
Certainly less.
Certainly less. Maybe not way less. But we saw the exact same number. No, we saw more movies last year. I lied. I think we saw 22 last year. But this year I saw 20. You saw 21. Is that correct? I think so.
No, we saw the same amount because I didn't see Random Acts and you didn't see Dinner in America.
But you saw Crazy World.
I saw that at a different festival though.
Yeah, but you've seen it.
I guess it counts.
We watched the same amount this week.
Sure.
Specifically for Calgary Underground Film Festival, and who knows? Maybe later tonight I'll just pop on Crazy World for fun skis.
Absolutely, let's give a big old thank you to Cuff there.
Honestly, this was a really difficult task, and I couldn't imagine a way that you guys could have done it better. Number one, your app fucking ripped, and I did not expect that because I was like, oh, this is gonna be an independent streaming app. It's gonna probably suck, and it didn't.
There wasn't really that much issues. Like once the movie was playing, it played. Perfect.
Yeah, flawlessly. Like there was really no latency issues or like frame rate or even like pixelation issues. Like I was actually very, very impressed with what they were able to do with that streaming service as well. Like it works like Netflix. Like they have different categories and shit. You can go down to horror and you can go down. Like it was very, very cool. For anybody who is watching, for anybody who is on that app, I had the Roku app, which ripped, and then you had just like the desktop app, which was also good, and it allowed you to skip the shorts, which I'm sorry, we actually did quite a lot. The reason for that is because we wanted to fit in all 20 of these movies, so we didn't even have time to watch Crazy World. So I wanted to fit in as many of these movies as we could, so we had to skip over those things because I know that you're still in quarantine, but I worked a full-time job this week.
That's true.
I worked a full-time job this week and still fit in 20 movies. My girlfriend's not happy, super pissed, but what are you going to do? Comes but once a year.
I guess.
Comes but once a year.
Comes Buck once a year. I'm your host, Buck Hollywood Leduc.
And I'm your other host, Chadley J. Fox. Hey, Podcast Pop 5000.
Hey, boys, I picked the best ones for last.
Thank
really,
you.
really good ones.
Thank you, Pockets. That is very good to hear. Pockets Pop 5000, tell me what we're talking about.
You're going to really like this movie called We Are Little Zombies out of Japan. You're going to like that one a lot, I bet.
It's Eastern Asia, so probably you're right.
You want more zombie stuff? I got another one for you. This is called Yummy.
Yummy, okay. All right, what's that one about?
It's about zombies.
Okay, got it. Go on.
I got another one about zombies, but they're old. They're old zombies in a vans. It's called Sleeze Lake.
I don't like the sound of that. Is that like some kind of shitty doc?
Nah, you'll like it.
Okay. And what's the last one?
I got another one. It's about a zombie band, but not We Are Little Zombies. It's about a zombie band called called Country Teasers. It's a doc called This Should Not Exist, and that's probably true.
This-
But
yeah,
I
this
mean,
film should
actually,
not
no,
exist.
you'll like it a lot.
Will I like it?
Yeah, you're gonna like it a lot.
Will I think that it shouldn't exist?
You're gonna like it a lot.
Okay, thank you.
I gotta go.
Thank you, Podcast Bot 5000. All right, Buck, what do we want to start with? What are we opening with?
Let's see. We Are Little Zombies.
We Are Little Zombies. Let's get into this. Just like the cream of the crop. This one.
This is my favorite thing in the fest.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the best movie we saw in the festival. And I said last episode that Nobody was my favorite thing in the festival. That was before I saw this movie. This is clearly the best thing this festival had to offer. This movie rips fucking
It was
hard.
also the thing that they were advertising the most. So
Yes.
I think they knew what they had here.
Yeah, they absolutely did know that they had struck gold with this one. This one rips, dude. This one's really, really good. So we're famously fans of like Eastern Asian cinema. We love things, and like especially Japan. Like we've seen a lot of Japan. We did
And in Korea, that's the shit right
yeah,
there.
we
dude.
did Akira Kurosawa, an entire month dedicated to that director. And Shoplifters was like one of our favorite movies the year that came out.
I talk about Takeshi Miike quite
Yeah,
a bit.
right. First Love came out last year. That movie was pretty good. I liked First Love. Yeah, so we love Japanese cinema. What was that one? The Grudge. What was it? Or Ringu. Ringu's good.
I've seen
And then
films.
Ju-on, The Grudge.
Sure.
They're making a new one, but I think it's a TV show, so I'm not gonna watch it. So we love Japanese cinema, and like this is gonna sound generalized, but maybe Eastern Asia just
I think-
knows more about filmmaking.
this is what I think anyway.
Yeah.
We only see the good ones.
That is probably what it is. Like I'm sure like over in Japan they only like get like 1917 and Marriage Story and The Good American. Well, I don't know. American film is a little bit more polarizing.
They
so
definitely get the superhero movies.
Oh, they definitely get that, but that's bad. So I don't know. I don't know. So We Are Little Zombies is like crazy.
Yeah, it's like right out the gates. I'm like, this seems like a perverted Wes Anderson thing, and it did end up being that.
It did end up being exactly that. I don't even know where to start with this movie. This like
Well,
first
just
of
the
all,
fact that
yeah.
every shot of this film is the most crazy thing possible, and it's edited so insanely that every single thing about this movie is not how you should make a movie, but somehow it works.
You know how like once or twice when you're watching a Spike Lee movie, he'll try like some weird shot.
Yeah, like a Dutch angle or
Yeah,
something.
like a Dutch angle. Yeah, this movie is only comprised of just trying weird shots. And somehow the whole fucking thing looks incredible.
I think because it's not just like in a Spike Lee movie when, like that one where he's in Crooklyn when he stretches out the
yeah,
the film
that's
for like
that's
10
the
minutes.
worst one for sure.
It's like it's not like that. It's the whole movie is like that, so it's not off-putting because every second of it's like that.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the style of it.
I completely agree. But this movie has like this really weird video game aesthetic and presentation to it as well, where like every chapter of the movie is like a stage of a video game, and it's got like this crazy like 8-bit like soundtrack, which is like awesome.
It's like the best thing about
Like
this.
it like rips. Like the soundtrack is so good, and you wouldn't expect it because usually, as a video game player, I honestly think the 8-bit music often sucks. But here it's amazing. It's like really cool. It's like this bit tune like mixed with like kind of like drum beat type thing, and it works really really well. What this movie actually is about is that you have these 4 kids and all of their parents died on the same day, and they meet at the crematorium where their parents are being cremated. Now this is like, that sounds grim and it sounds
it is,
dark, and it is, but it's funnier than it is dark.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a movie about about death from a child's perspective, but it's funny because they're kind of like emotionless about it.
Yeah,
And it's
like
clinical.
It takes death quite lightly because the kids don't fully understand it or grasp it, and because it's from their perspective completely, you also don't want to grasp what's happening on screen. And like what a fascinating way to structure a screenplay. And so each chapter, like the first few chapters, focus on different characters and the way that their parents died. And like it's like kind of funny. Like it's weird and funny in each one. Like there's a kid whose parents accidentally burned down the restaurant because they're too busy making stir fry so that he can eat it when he gets home, because they make him stir fry every single day. And then and like there's dark aspects to it too. I mean, you got a little bit of suey, you got a little bit of murder, you know.
Classic murder suey.
Yeah, so some classic. Well, no, not
No,
murder
no
sueys.
murder suey,
They're
actually.
separate. They operate separately.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else.
Yeah. But this movie then what fucking baffles me about this movie is this is a first-time feature director. This is the first time,
and it's dripping with style. This person's already got their style figured out.
This person has already mastered how to make films. It like the art of film has been completely mastered by this person because they know exactly what the fuck they're doing. It's so crazy how well they know what they're doing. Each scene is bizarrely unique, and this movie is dense. There's about 10,000 events in this movie. It's 2 hours. It's the longest movie in the entire festival, and it feels like one of the shorter ones.
That's true. That is very true.
Even though like 10,000 things happen in this movie. So eventually what happens is that these orphans...
Makoto Nagashi.
Makoto Nagashi? Unbelievable. I can't wait to see what else Makoto has like up her sleeve because I need to see more of this. I need to see more movies exactly like this. What eventually ends up happening is that these orphans who have become homeless because they're trying to escape foster care start like this really weird K-pop classic rock mixture
J-pop,
band. J-pop, yeah, that's what I meant. J-pop classic rock mixture band and accidentally become internet sensations.
But it's like not even really about that for like most of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's mostly just about them kind of wandering from place to place, meeting
Just
weird
being
and
sad,
interesting
dude.
new people. Yeah,
Mother's cow milk is love.
yeah,
and
mother's cow milk is
Hiroshima imagery.
yeah, a lot of
It's
hero.
a dark movie.
Yeah, they put the kids' bodies in golden hearses, like pure gold. Like 15 or 12 karat
Yeah, it's an
golden
Eastern
horses.
thing. I think that's an Eastern thing.
It must be. It must be. Crazy thing is about this movie is that like it also has like this amazing we were talking about how every shot is really wild, but I want to talk about two in specific. The intro to this movie, like the opening credits are like 20 minutes in, but they tell you that at the beginning of the movie. They're like, by the way, we're going to give you a prologue and then it's the opening credits, but it's going to take a while to get there.
Yeah, and then when it's done, they're like, sorry the prologue was so long.
Yeah. And then they go into the opening credits and it's like sort of like this 16-bit style video game that looks fucking incredible.
Looks like a good game.
Looks
like
really
a
fun and I really want
little Cuphead type game.
Yeah, and then there's like my favorite shot in this entire movie is that there's a part where they're on top of the roof of one of the apartment buildings and it's a completely overhead shot. Like it looks like The Legend of Zelda, but it's real fucking people. And I've never seen a shot like that before in my life. And they're all walking in very specific patterns to make it look interesting and weird, and like that's the best way I can describe this movie is that it's like weird, but every second is entrancing for different reasons than the previous second.
And it is crazy because like every shot of this movie is also like feels like it's a different movie.
Yeah,
but yet somehow it all fits together.
Yeah,
That's what's crazy about
And
it.
and because so many different things happen in this movie, and like there's 11 chapters in this movie, 12, a bunch, like a shitload. Each chapter is like really bananas. Like there's a chapter that's just about the dudes singing about how much they love milk, and then there's like a chapter called Trash Town where they hang out with a bunch of homeless people, and there's a musical number where the homeless people are going on about how if you're homeless, the whole world is your home.
I guess this is technically a musical.
Technically, yeah. There's a few different numbers in it.
There's some numbers in it.
Yeah, it's like the a musical the same way Sing Street is a musical.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in it. And then like for a bit it becomes like a Japanese version of SLC Punk, and you have like this weird Japanese music producer guy who's trying to make this band which is called We Are Little Zombies. Or no, the band is just called Little Zombies. The song is called We Are Little Zombies.
Yeah.
He's trying to make them famous, and he's getting all these people to come to their shows, and they're just kind of along for the ride until one of them says something fucked up on TV and they get canceled. Like this is like the thing is like that feels like spoilers, but it's so far away from the end of the movie that it doesn't matter, because then the movie melts. It melts into like the most insane shit you can possibly imagine.
This movie has big chaos energy.
It does have big chaos energy because like you think that them getting canceled as musicians is the worst thing that can happen to them until you get to the scene where they're in a bus under the water and you're like, oh, this is, first of all, it's art, number one, but number two, this is too crazy. This might be too crazy. There's squids. There's a lot of squids going on here. But this movie, like, the thing is about this movie is that because it's so entrancing, it's inherently also very entertaining to watch and very fun. And I've seen people review this movie and say that it was exhausting, and I got none of that. This was like
the energy kept me alive.
yeah.
Man.
If anything, I was hyped.
Dude,
you know,
there's so many movies I've seen in the last week that didn't keep my energy alive and made me go to sleep. That this is a beautiful change of pace.
What a welcome change, dude. What a welcome change. I really like this movie. I think this is, without a doubt, well, we'll talk about it later when we do our ranking, but it's definitely among the best films in the entire festival. I'm going to give it a 5-star on the
5-star for me, too.
Easy peasy, dude.
I really, really like this movie. I thought it was so much fun.
Easy peasy, lemony squeezy,
Didn't
dude.
Didn't like when they were playing their music numbers to all the teenagers and the perverted cameraman was like looking at little kids' butts like they're Crystalia or some shit.
Yeah, I also didn't like
that. Are they
that.
Crystalia or some shit?
They must be Crystalia, dude. Let's talk about Sleeze Lake.
Sure.
55-minute documentary about vanning.
Woodstock for vans. Sounds stinky, dude.
Sounds really gross. This is like the most fucking boring thing I've ever seen in my life. It's really boring.
It's bad, but I see what they were. At least I see what they were going for in this one.
I get it. They were trying to celebrate a certain culture, but it's just,
but it is kind of like any subculture doc you see, right? Like it's kind of like just a doc about people for very specific things, and sometimes they're interesting, and sometimes they're not, depending on the subjects of the film. And these guys, I don't think had that much to say, to be honest, because they've lived a full life since this happened.
Yeah, like it feels like they're vaguely trying to recall some party they went to 40 years ago, because that is what's happening.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's these guys like vaguely trying to recall, and like the details are iffy, and they're like trying to come up with something to say. And the unfortunate thing is that just given the nature of this movie, it doesn't feel like the filmmaker was very passionate about the subject matter at hand, because they didn't try very hard to make it interesting. They have these people anecdotally telling you these really boring and honestly not cool sounding party stories. Like, oh man, that is my biggest problem with this movie, and it's probably why I personally don't like it. I can see why somebody would if they were interested in this type of culture, but none of this looks cool to me. Like, this doesn't seem like a fun thing to do.
Well, that's the point, though, is they're losers, right?
Yeah, like that is it. Like they brag about not going to high school, and they spend 5 minutes desperately trying to convince you that no sexual assaults happen.
This is why, well, because it's interesting, because earlier in the doc, one of the guys, the guy that was in charge of everything, he's like, it was 20,000 people. Like, it's everything, but there was no cops. So, like, everything that you think would happen with 20,000 people in a city happened in a weekend.
But zero sexual assaults.
And they just, like, spend so much time being like, oh, no, there was no assaults that I remember. And they're like, but I barely remember being there.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're like, no assaults happened that I'm 100% sure of. That being said, I was fucked on acid the entire time I was there and not having a good time. It just, here's the thing, is that like
because when I look at this, I see a field full of assaulters. Personally.
That's what I see. Yeah, like and like even the people they interview kind of look questionable, dude. They look, because like it's the Midwest, and like let's be real here, dude. There's just
70s.
there's no place in the entire world I give a shit less than the Midwest of the United States.
What about the South?
Fucking the Midwest is at least the South is kind of interesting. It sucks, but it's at least got like something going for it.
I guess,
Midwest got fucking
flyover states, dude.
Fucking Carolina, like and fucking Virginia, and like all these fucking Midwest. Illinois, like who gives it? Colorado, Indiana. Indiana's the worst place on the planet, and I think a lot of this takes place in Indiana.
It does, yeah.
Fucking just nothing going on in the Midwest. Ain't nothing I care about.
Well, that's why they had to have
less.
a van party.
Yeah, I guess so. And apparently, if the coolest... This is like that Thunder Bay one where it's like the coolest thing in Thunder Bay. If the coolest thing in the Midwest is a bunch of dudes fucking hanging out...
Well, I don't think this was the coolest thing that was happening at that time.
Just hanging out in vans, I'm all set on the Midwest. Yeah, and so like this is actually about like an organization called Midwest Van Limited, and they put this on every year, and they still do. But guess what? 5,000, 20,000 people used to attend, and at the end of the movie, it says that roughly 40 people attend now.
Yeah.
40 people.
Still a lot, though. Still a lot of vanners, dude.
It's a couple of vans.
Still, if I see 40 vans, I'm like, or even if I see 20 vans, I'm like, I don't want to go where that's happening.
Yeah, and that is again, that's the problem. Is that like I look at this culture and I'm like, I have no interest in that because
and that's the point of a doc, right? Is to make you interested in something you don't know about, right?
Absolutely.
To me, that's the definition of a doc. And this, I feel like this festival has not had much of that successfully besides Narrowsburg.
And they just start like describing weird shit that they were doing. They're like, we put ice in wine. How crazy is that? And you're like, okay. And then they're like, we cut our pubic hair in public. And it's like, cool.
They had a dick finger contest.
They did have
contest.
Like a dick sizing
but
contest.
But it's like nothing that you wouldn't expect from this kind of like Woodstock adjacent festival, in my opinion. It's like I've seen like 3 docs on Woodstock, and I don't like that either. I don't think I would have liked that either.
This just looks like a music festival with no music.
There was music though. There was a stage.
Was there a stage? Was there bands playing?
Yeah, there was bands.
Should have focused on that because then it would have been then you could have called it a music festival, and then it's not just a bunch of fucking losers hanging out in vans. And also, like, I can't think
a shanty town.
I can't possibly think of a less cool vehicle to be proud to own.
What do you mean? Vans are great because you can fuck in them. That's the point, right?
I guess
that's the point of this doc. Right?
It has to be.
Is that vans are cool because you can fuck in them.
But nobody says that. Like, be on. Like, there's like so many interviews where they're like, I don't know, I don't want to like out myself by saying something inappropriate. No, fucking say it. I beg you to say something interesting.
Inappropriate stuff that's content.
That's the content. I fucking beg you. You gotta say something interesting, but instead they're like, "Oh yeah, we hung out in those vans.
Yeah, we probably
had a couple
of marijuana. I don't know if we're even allowed to say that.
Like I shouldn't have said I smoked weed. We had a couple of Molsons, or fucking Bud Lights. We had a couple of Budweisers and hung out from.
You had to American edit yourself there.
Yeah, I did. I had to American because Molson is a Canadian beer and it would not be available there. Like we had a couple of Budweisers and oh no, it was in the middle of a field and the cops were there sometimes. But also there was no cop. That was the crazy part too, is that there are like never any cops, and then at one point there's like 5-minute segment where they're like there was a lot of cops.
There was a lot of cops there. Not only that, but they put poor Andy,
Andy,
the guy that had the campsite that he rented out, went to jail. Mm-hmm. Probably not for very long because he just got a public nuisance charge. But the fact that he did go to jail, I feel bad. And for that guy, because he's like 90 in this thing, you can barely understand what the fuck he's saying. And like they go and they don't even apologize. They go to see him for the first time in 45 years.
Yeah.
And no one apologizes to him.
Absolutely.
That's what's insane to me.
And Andy is so fucking old that he's struggling to get the words out, dude. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, is that here they taking him and then the police came out there and you're like, oh okay, Andy, I need you to say something differently.
What clenches this doc to me is at the very end, one of the guys like, this is a thing that happened, and I don't know if it will be remembered, and it shouldn't.
I agree.
So it's like if you're documentary guy, if like one of your subjects is saying this shouldn't be remembered, take a cue. And don't waste my time with this.
Well, it's 55 minutes. So here's what I think happened is that I think he did get that interview late into shooting and then was like, you know what? Let's just put together what we have. And that's like a big thing with documentaries right now is just putting together what you have.
It is possible that like maybe the guy thought the subject would be cooler than it was.
Yeah, like it must be because it's not cool. It's super not cool.
And then once he got to the meat and bones of it, he's like, I got 55 minutes, and I think that's about where we're gonna end this one.
I don't think anybody would watch this for more than 55
minutes. I can't spend another 3 years of my life on this.
Oh my god, yeah, it sucks, dude. This one sucks, unfortunately. And I wish that there's also a lot of points in this movie where they're like, come on into my garage. Let me show you something really cool.
Van life at its lowest and best is the subtitle of this film. And if that's the best, I don't want any part of van life.
There's like
half star from Buck Hollywood the dude.
There's so many parts of this movie where they're like, come on and take a look at something I found here in my garage. And then they show you something in their garage. It's garbage.
Yeah, dude. They kept busting out garbage, dude.
They're like, there's like the one part where he has like the security locker and he's like, let's open this bad boy up. It's for my van days. Should be interesting in here. Opens it up. It's just garbage. He's like, wow.
A lot of garbage in here.
Half star from Chadley. No good. What are we talking about next? Talking about Yummy. Yummy is okay, I think.
Love those Belgian zombies.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about this. It's very clear to me watching it. Even if you look at the poster, it says facelift, boob jobs, and zombies. It's very clear to me, since they filmed this in English, kind of, and they showed tits every second scene, that they were trying to sell this to an American audience.
Absolutely, they are.
And Shudder bought it, so I guess it worked.
It must have. Shudder was like, how many tits are in that? Or what's the tit count in that? That's pretty high. We'll take that.
What's the finger count? Because I think this is officially the third movie of the fest that had a finger in it.
Yeah, because Sleeze Lake also had the fingers when they were doing the finger contest. We had one in Dead Dicks, which I'd be pissed if we didn't.
I would be upset if Dead Dicks didn't have a finger.
I am upset that Uncle Peckerhead does not have a pecker.
True.
No
that
pecker,
is true.
dude. There's peck, but no pecker.
So Yummy is not that bad, but
It's not that bad.
It's also very much just
Middle of the road,
just a zombie movie.
It's the most generic zombie movie I've ever seen.
I think you get to the point with zombie movies where it's like, why is anybody still making them?
Yeah,
because this
I
isn't
agree.
different. It's like it's
Not
got
at
some
all.
cool kills in it, but it is a zombie movie.
Yeah, essentially, it's like you have like a ragtag group of survivors, dealing with their own personal issues. They get isolated in a building that's infested by zombies, and they got to figure out how to get out while also dealing with their personal problems. Holy fuck, I've seen this movie 10 million times. I've seen this movie before. But this one does have like a couple of things in it that I really like. There's a lot of like just really, really unique and interesting kills, like and a lot of really great and disgusting visuals.
And that's I think maybe what it has most going for it is that it is very, very gross.
Absolutely. There's like the scene where the guy shoves his hand through a paper shredder, and
I don't
that's
think
like
that would work, but okay.
I don't think it would work either, but
it
it's
was
fun.
horrific to see.
Fun to watch for sure. There's a lot of axe right through the skull.
Axe through the skull,
Axe through
burn victims.
Yeah, dude falling off the top of a building.
That looked kind of bad.
Yeah, there's a guy whose dick gets set on fire. That's a really fun scene.
The one that we like the most, I think, is when the guy's getting liposuction and halfway through his surgery, a zombie comes in and the fat goes back into his body and he explodes.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
That one was like pretty fucked
Titty
up.
monster. You got a titty monster.
Yeah, you got a lot of there's like 7 or 8 titty
Seven
zombies.
or 8 titty monsters.
Absolutely. There's a shitty frog creature, a shitty
Cool
CG.
frog, like that. Like I was into that.
Bad CG, but
I was trying to figure out what it was about, but nothing.
Yeah, it is about nothing. There's like a frog zombie monster.
Somebody dripped some blood into a fucking fetus, and then it turned into a frog monster. So.
Wait, and then it follows around the main characters, and for some reason, this frog monster is faster than the actual human zombies.
Hell yeah, dude. Lot of vomit.
Lot of throwing up.
There was a dead animal at the beginning. I bet that reminded you of work quite a bit.
Then somebody crushes the dead animal and it squirts all over a bunch of people with the blood.
It's a greasy one, that's for sure.
Yeah, like this is like much like we talked about on last episode, Random Acts of Violence. It is really gross, but it doesn't have the unique script structure of that movie. It's basically everything you'd expect it to be, but maybe a little bit grosser than you might expect it to be. Mm-hmm. And it's very pandery, I think. Like the whole movie is about like a girl trying to get a breast reduction, and everybody spends the entire movie being like, "Why would you do that? Your tits are so good."
Yeah,
and it's like
God gave you those.
God
titties.
gave you those tits, and then like by the end of the movie, she's like, "You're right. God did give me tits," and I'm like, "No. This is not.
What do you mean?
lesson.
That's a learning experige.
That's not the lesson we should be taking from this. Not at all."
I did like the zombies were kind of unique because they ran like doggy apes.
Yeah,
like tiny
they,
doggy apes.
Yeah, on 4 legs, like pretty cool.
I haven't really seen that too much when it comes to zombie work.
Yeah, me neither, to be honest. There's also like the characters in this movie are interesting enough. I'd say you have your main character whose name is Michael and his girlfriend Allison, who's trying to get the breast reduction.
It's kind of funny that he's scared of blood, and then after he gets hurt a lot from being scared of blood, he's not scared of blood anymore, I guess.
Yeah, that they just kind of dropped that.
They stopped that after a bit.
Yeah, and they mentioned that he went to medical school really early in the movie, so that later in the movie it would make sense when he starts making up a bunch of medical school like lingo, starts tossing it out at the other doctors. But yeah, and I like the idea.
Those are pretty much the only characters, though. Then you got the Freddie Prinze Jr. looking guy, and then a bunch of doctors that don't mean anything because they die almost immediately.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as you see them on screen, they explain some explain some exposition, and then fucking die
They're gone,
immediately.
yeah. The Freddie Prinze Jr. character is crazy too because he's like Crystalia, dude. He's a Crystalia. There's one point where a really young girl who's like maybe 19, 20 is like, "Do you want to fuck me?" And he's like,
She was a doctor. She was probably a bit older than that.
But then he was like, "I prefer my pussy a lot younger," and you're like,
Classic, dude.
ah.
By the way, it wasn't actually Freddie Prinze Jr. It's the guy that looked
Yeah,
like
just-
Freddie Prinze Jr. when he was in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it's Belgian Freddie Prinze. Yeah, and this is a Belgian movie, and it's so weird because the two main characters speak Belgian, and then the two doctors, like the female doctor and then the old doctor, speak German, I think. But
It could be reverse.
everybody meets somewhere in the middle.
They all start talking English.
And they all just start talking English, but then like they'll switch back and forth. Thankfully, the whole movie was subtitled, which is great, honestly, because they honestly had really thick accents. I don't know if I would have been able to know what they were saying.
I don't think it was that terrible.
Yeah.
I think like for a movie like this, I think maybe just do it in German or whatever. But like
that's what I was thinking too. Like, there's no real reason to have all three
but
languages.
I do really believe it was because they wanted to sell it to the States, and I think they succeeded.
Yeah, they got there. Shudder bought it. It's on Shudder. You can go and watch this movie right now if you're looking for something really gross. It's gross. It's certainly gross. Yeah, no, I like this movie just fine. It's a zombie movie. I've seen it, but I like this one just fine. I'm gonna give this one a 3-star on the Chatsky scale.
3 stars. The balls on this fucking movie just to end it like that, full zombie apocalypse. I think it's worth something.
Yeah, love
Definitely 3 stars.
it. Love the ending for sure. This film should not exist. Hey, one more of the Calgary. This is the last film that we're reviewing. The 20th film.
Unfortunately, the last film we watched.
Unfortunate because A, I would love Cuff to go on another week because I love it, but also B, because this is maybe the worst one we watched.
It's maybe the worst film I've ever watched.
And here's the thing: Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets looked like it was clinching that bottom spot.
But then I saw some other stuff.
Then I saw some other stuff, and I'm like, oh boy, this is very interesting. It's all in the title here, guys. This film should not exist. In fact, I genuinely believe that they named it that. They gave it that title. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm pointing right at the fucking title. They gave it that title because they gave up making this movie 2 days in and was like, use what we got. Just use what we got. Who gives a fuck? Like, we're not going to make a movie on this. We're not going to spend our time on this. Just wrap it up in 3 days. Fucking get in the editing bay, take 15 minutes to make the... I genuinely believe this movie took less than an hour to edit.
I think that's possible because like between every 2-minute interview, they just dropped in a 5-minute segment from their tour.
Yes,
And it's the worst thing I've ever seen. And I get that that's the bit. I get that that's the bit of the band is that they're so terrible they want to walk everybody and they get mad when you like the band. But also, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, me neither. Because if you're... I hate intentionally bad made content. I hate that. Like, it's exploitive and dumb. And with movies, it's like I get why you would make something intentionally bad for like your The Room people and your Birdemic people, but with music, intentionally bad made music, intentionally poorly made music, there's no stock from that. It's not even funny. It's not interesting. It just sounds like shit. And there's 5-minute segments of these bands playing, and they're all fucking dog shit. They're all so bad, and it just feels like they're just slamming on their instruments, and the fucking VHS audio quality doesn't help either.
There was one single shot when the Oblivions were playing, and I liked that, and then the rest of it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
And between these segments, you have like the interviews with the people who were actually in the band, and those interviews probably last 30 to 45 seconds, and they have nothing to say. They're just like, yeah, no, we were in a band called the Country Teasers, and yeah, I don't know what Tom the drummer's doing anymore, but I'm sure he's doing something. Cut back to and you're like, oh my fucking god, dude. I was in the fetal position at one point watching this movie. I don't know if you noticed that.
The only thing I wrote down is I'm going to kill myself. This Ben Weller's character that everybody says is a genius. He now he was the front man of Country Teasers. Now has a solo group called The Rebel because he's a rebel, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Is he a genius? He works at a fucking garden center now.
Yeah, don't buy it, guys. Don't buy it. And you know what else really annoys me?
And it's like even if, let's pretend for a minute.
All right, I'm suspending
that the country teasers was good satire on homophobia and racism and these things that they say it is. You can't even listen to it to get that out of it.
I agree, because they're bad at making music, and then they just put slurs on pieces of paper and show them to the audience. Hey, guys, in the 90s, maybe, but even still then, maybe not. But in 2020, you can't.
Well, they're not a band anymore.
Yeah, but you can't even show that. You can't show that and be like, look how funny this was. No, it wasn't. That's like showing people the first season of Family Guy and being like, wasn't this funny? Nah, it wasn't. Maybe in that time it was.
Fucking Chadley's so riled up, he's spiking the fucking audio here.
Like this movie, like I was watching this with you, and at one point, yes, I was in fact in the fetal position, and I was like screaming. I was like, oh my God. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do so many documentarians want to just throw together what they fucking have and put it out for anybody who'll fucking take it? This will never get distribution. I promise you. There is no fucking way any distribution company will ever look at this and say, absolutely, let's distribute this. No fucking way. This will never hit DVD. This will never hit VOD. It'll never hit nothing. This movie won't even go on fucking YouTube. It's such a piece of shit. They'll never get distribution. Also, it's another fucking music doc, and during the interview segments, there's no fucking score. What? And there's even one point where there's just a still shot of the Oblivions, like they're about to interview them. There's like a 2-minute still shot of them just sitting there while the shitty music from the previous clip is still playing in the background. Like, it feels like they forgot to delete the fucking audio track for the video that played before the interview, and then they play the first 2 minutes of the interview before they fucking said anything. How do you make a movie this poorly? It like, the actual lack of understanding of the medium baffles me. And I get that's the bit, but that's not good. That's not funny. That is not a bit. That's just you making shitty content and then putting it out and saying, isn't it funny how bad it is? No, you put an hour's worth of effort into a full-length feature fucking movie. This one's 95 goddamn minutes. It's not like fucking the Sleeze Lake one, which is another documentary about fucking nothing. At least that was 55 minutes. And at least people actually said things as very little substance as that movie had. At least they fucking said something.
The point of Sleeze Lake is I wouldn't have walked out of that one. This one, I would have walked out if I was seeing this in a theater.
Absolutely. This will be an easy
just
walk.
as they wanted me to walk out, I would have.
Absolutely. And I would never I would never pay to see this movie. I would only go see it if I had a fest pass. And it was playing at a fest. And even then, I would still walk it. But there's another thing I want to mention that was just so fucking crazy to me. And again, it's just like, it's so bananas how little intuition the filmmakers had. There's like a scene where they show some archival footage, and it's like these two band guys like fucking around, and he's like, what do you think about alcohol? And the other guy's like, it's very, 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 very terrible. And then they cut to a modern day interview where the guy's like, I remember one time somebody asked me, what do you think about alcohol? And I said, it's very, 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 very terrible. And I'm like, I just watched that clip. My God, I just saw that. Why are you reiterating what you showed me 3 fucking seconds ago? How was this made like this? And it's full footage of these shitty, fucking terrible dive bar performances.
Put a fucking mic on somebody, right?
Oh my fucking God, dude. It's like they were trying to use, like when they were interviewing, they were using the fucking mic on the camera. I don't know how to like jump into some of these movies and be like, hey, before we continue with this movie, director, I'm going to give you some tips here, because apparently you've never seen one of these fucking movies before. Movies? You've never seen one before. So I have to actually show you how the fuck you're supposed to structure a movie, and it's not like this. If you don't have enough content to make a movie, don't make a movie. That's just how it is. And there's not enough content here. In fact, I would say there's not enough content in here for a short film about these bands. You could put this out as a 6-minute short film, and I'd be like, not enough. Not enough interesting information there. But it's not a short film. It's 95 fucking minutes. It's feature length, and it's well beyond feature length. You could have made this 41 minutes and called it feature length, and then you wouldn't have wasted so much of my fucking time. But this one really riled me up, and I was really worried because I knew we watched this one right before the podcast, and I knew I had to talk about We Are Little Zombies, and I wanted to sound happy and excited, but I was so fucking pissed that I had to watch this thing. Are you with me? Are you with me on this?
It's literally the worst movie I've ever seen.
It's fucking garbage, dude. It's absolute
And I don't care if that's the point. I don't care.
This is the worst documentary I have ever seen. And I've seen fucking a lot of documentaries and a lot of bad ones. This is the worst documentary I've ever fucking seen in my entire life.
Mean, nasty. Chadley's being nasty. Mean. Brutal.
I can't.
Brutal.
I can't with this shit. I simply cannot. It's a half star. It's the happiest half. It's a half. If I could give it 0, I'd give it 0. But I can't. It's a fucking half star, dude. Bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit.
Probably the angriest you've ever been on this show ever.
I'm baffled. I'm baffled.
You're fucking tomato red right now.
Like, I was so worried because I'm like, I'm going to have nothing to say about this movie because it's not about anything. Then I'm like, oh, wait, no, I'm just going to scream about it because that's all you can do. That's all you can do. If, like, I want to know what people think about this movie. Hey, listeners, I'm looking right at the camera now. Hey, listeners, if you've seen this movie, please, I beg you, send us a message on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at Movie Epidemic. Let me know what you think, because I simply can't understand how any one living human being could have possibly enjoyed such a heinous crime against the cinema industry. Fuck.
Jesus.
Fuck. That being said, Cuff was pretty fun this year.
Cuff was pretty fun.
Cuff was fun.
I did actually like doing it from my house. I thought that was good. The drive-ins were cool. I think maybe they should keep that for next year.
Yeah, I definitely think the drive-in should come back. I would love to do that again. I think it'll take away, because I think the drive-ins were in lieu of midnight screenings.
Right. The drive-ins were in lieu of midnight screenings, and they also did off the cuff. They did this specific drive-in thing during Off the Cuff last year, which is like their summertime screening series.
They should do that. They should just do that again, like every couple of months. Do the Off the Cuffs at the drive, because I would go again. It was fun. That being said, I do have a ranking for my Cuff 2020 films, and you have yours. Yeah. Shall we go through? Shall we go through? I'll let you start, because do you have 20 on your ranking, or did you put Crazy World, or did you just ignore that?
I did not put Crazy
World. Okay, so either you can go first, or you know what? I'll go first. I'll go first, because I've got mine open. I got my ranking here. So obviously, I think this goes without saying, the number 20 film of the 20 films I saw at Calgary Underground Film Festival was the final film I watched at the Underground Film Festival. This film should not exist.
That's also what I have as my least favorite film.
And I just
festival.
there was another movie that I'll talk about in a second that I was like, no way, that's getting topped for worst of the festival. And holy shit, it was topped with like flying colors, dog. My number 19 worst film, or my number 19 best film of Cuff 2020, I guess, is Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets.
That's a good one to have down there. That's nothing. That's another nothing.
It's nothing. It's just guys standing in a bar pretending it's fake. Slice of life. It's not even interesting.
However, there was one thing that I loathed more than that. And my number 19 is I Blame Society.
Oh, you really?
That piece of YouTube shit should just stay far away from me.
Yeah, you didn't like that one.
I hated it, dude.
My number 18 is a movie that I actually loathed quite a bit. Probably a lot more than you did. My number 18 is Big Fur.
I like Big Fur. I think Big Fur is I actually might bump it up a star because you're being so mean to it.
Hate it, dude. Simply hate it. Absolute amateurish trash. What's your number 18?
My number 18 is Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets.
Oh, yeah. We just talked about that one in the bar. My number 17, we just talked about it. Also a half star. There was a lot of half stars this year, and I think it just comes with the format because you need people to want to put their movies out. My number 17 is I Blame Society. Half star film. I Blame Society. Piece of shit.
My next one is Sleeze Lake.
Ooh, that's also my next one. My number 16 is also Sleeze Lake. Not interesting. Not cool. Not cool. All right, hit me with your number 16.
My number 16 is My Name is Clitoris.
Ooh, that's my number 15. I think this is going to be pretty similar. Yes, a very boring movie about girls talking about their vaginas, which in concept should be okay, but none of them have anything to say about it. What's your number 15?
My number 15 is $5 at the door.
Ooh, that's my number 14. I think this is going to be steady for a little while. That's my number 14. Yes, this movie is incredibly boring. And it's like, it's just jerking off people that maybe don't need to be jerked off. Or, like, it's just, I don't care. What's your number 14?
Climate of the Hunter.
Climate of the Hunter. My number 13 is also Climate of the Hunter. We're going to be the same for the rest, I guess. Climate of the Hunter it's a fake vampire movie we talked about a few days ago. Go and check that one out. What's your number 12?
Homewrecker.
Homewrecker. This is where we start to differ. My number 12 is A Dog's Death. Not interested in Dr. Mario and his dog stuff, although I'm starting to get to the movies that I am more interested in. And once we get to my top 10, they're mostly like pretty decent once we hit top 10. So I'm excited to talk about those.
My number 12.
Yeah.
Big Fur.
Big Fur. Wow, that high. High praise for Big Fur.
It was better than Homewrecker.
I disagree. My number 11 is Homewrecker. Precious Chong, baby.
Precious Chong, baby.
Precious Chong, given a performance of a lifetime.
I guess so. Someone's lifetime. My number 10, I guess, or whatever. 11.
Yeah.
A Dog's Death.
A Dog's Death. So we had Homewrecker and Dog's Death kind of swapped there. My number 10, this is when it starts to get to like movies I actually kind of had fun watching. My number 10 is Yummy.
Oh, Yummy.
Yummy, the zombie movie. I really liked. I actually did enjoy this one. It's very grotesque and fucked up, and there's a blood orgy, and it's a lot of fun.
Is there a blood orgy?
No.
It says that there is, but I didn't see one.
I didn't see one.
My number 10 is I Used to Go Here.
I Used to Go Here, the Jermaine Clement, Jillian Jacobs film.
It's fine. It's an indie film.
Yeah, it's certainly that. It's about college. My number 9 is House of Carden.
It's my number 9 also.
It's official. Number 9,
That's
best
official.
film of Calgary Underground Film Festival 2020 is House of Carden. It's a documentary about fashion that is interesting most of the time.
Yeah, it's like that's a perfect example of what we're saying here is take a subject I don't really care about and make me care about it a little bit.
Yeah, and this one like almost got me there, not quite, but at the very
I think it did the work for me.
I care more about Pierre Cardin's fashion industry than I do about fucking Vans and The Rebel. Fuck.
That's true.
My number. What did you say?
8.
Your number?
No,
10?
I said my
number 9. You said your number 9. My number 8 is Synchronic. This one's pretty good. This was Jamie Dornan and Anthony Mackie, the movie where they take drugs to go back in time. It's a really fun concept. Tons of fun.
My number 8 is Dead Dicks.
Ooh, that's my number 7. Dead Dicks, dude. This one's crazy. Really wacky sci-fi. I actually like this one a fair amount.
It's a good concept. I don't know if it's executed the best, but it's definitely worth a watch.
It could use some better execution.
My number 7 is Yummy.
Yummy. Oh, you really like that one.
I like seeing the bodies get fucked up.
Yeah,
like seeing that.
Like seeing the arm in the paper shredder. My number 6, you had already mentioned. I Used to Go Here. I like this one. I thought this one was pretty good.
I mean, it's fine. It's like one of those things you watch on YouTube on Netflix late at night because there's nothing else to watch. You know.
Yeah, that's true. And like it'll trend on Netflix for the first like 6 days. It's on Netflix and then be gone forever.
That's true. My number 6, Synchronic.
Synchronic, baby, taking drugs. Anthony Mackie taking drugs. Love it. And then he gets Thanos snapped again.
Damn, sucks when you get Thanos snapped that many times.
Twice, dude. My number 5. This is when we get into the movies I really, really like. I would say my top 5 are all movies I really like. My number 5 is Uncle Peckerhead.
My number 5 is also Uncle Peckerhead. It's official.
It's official. Number 5 best movie of Calgary Underground Film Festival is Uncle Peckerhead. This one is so much fun. It's just like, it's silly, it's wacky, and also, much like a lot of the other films in this festival, super gross.
That's true.
So that brings me to my number 4. Wait, no, I got it mixed up. I'm sorry. My number 5 was actually Narrowsburg. My number 5 was Narrowsburg.
Chadley fucked up the whole podcast. We got to restart. We got to restart and record it all again. My number 4 is Narrowsburg. Okay, and your number 5 is Uncle Peckerhead. Your number 4 is Uncle Peckerhead.
My number 4 is Uncle Peckerhead. I'm sorry, I fucked that up.
All right. Well, fucking use your eyes and look at the list.
Yeah, both very good movies. Narrowsburg rips.
Narrowsburg's great.
It's a really wild documentary. My number 3 is the one movie that Buck Hollywood Duke did not see, but I did, and that's Jay Baruchel's Random Acts of Violence.
Didn't see it.
Fucking unreal, dude. Really wacky. Tons of blood. Makes Yummy look like pussy shit. Let me tell you that much.
That is true.
Really gross.
My number 3 is Nobody.
Nobody. That's my number 2. I love this one. I just love the subtle context of this movie. Like it's so crazy. It's so crazy how they're able to put all the pieces together properly to make like just like this really weird movie where nobody really says anything, but yet they say everything. It's crazy.
My number 2, the film you didn't see, Dinner in America.
Gotta fucking see it, dude. I gotta fucking see this thing whenever it is.
So that means
We have the same number 1.
that means that the best of the fest, as curated by the Movie Epidemic podcast, is We Are Little Zombies.
Undoubtedly, this is the best of the fest.
And if I was ranking crazy world, I'd put it like in between A Dog's Death and I Used to Go Here, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to see that one. Hey, I don't want to see that one. Do I want to see that? I haven't seen it. Do I want to see it?
It would have been like my number. It would have been like my number 10 or 11.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually not that bad.
Well, I mean,
yeah, but We Are Little Zombies. Obviously, that takes the cake. And for me, Narrowsburg is doc of the fest, which
Absolutely.
jury gave it to. Jury gave it to Narrowsburg.
they got that one right.
They got that one right. They gave Dog's Death, the jury for best narrative. I think I would have gone with We Are Little Zombies there, folks. I think maybe it's...
I think, folks, we would have gone with a different one.
Yeah, but that's okay. We don't run the fest.
We don't run it.
We don't
We're
run.
not a part of it. We're not affiliated with this at all.
This was a very hit and miss. For me, there was two 5 stars, which is equal to the amount of 5 stars I gave to Cuff last
I
year.
only had one. And I'm usually the nicer one on the show.
I liked Nobody more, and I liked what was the other one? We Are Little Zombies. Those are the 2 that I gave 5 stars. And I gave 2 5 stars last year to Her Smell and Hail Satan. But the unfortunate part about that is that last year I gave 1 half star to Cuff, and that was Assassinaut. This year I gave 5 half stars.
That's a lot.
5.
Ooh, that's a lot.
It's a lot. But also, just given the format of the festival, I was sort of expecting it. So I'm not that pissed off about it. That being said, I did do an average. I got an average here.
Let's hear the
I
average.
put them all together. I did the math. Turns out the average rating I gave to a Calgary Underground Film Festival movie was 2.5. 2.5.
Middle of the road.
Not that bad, but could have been better. Because I'm sure that if I had done those numbers last year, they would have been a lot better. Probably closer to like 3.5 or 4. Yeah. But Calgary Underground Film Festival is our favorite time of the year.
It's our favorite festival.
And you know what's great about
Best
this year's
festival in the
festival
world.
is that there's only 10 months between this one and the next one.
That's true.
So there's 2 extra months that we don't have to wait before we can go to Calgary Underground Film again. And I am so excited for 2021. I
can't wait to get back into the Globe, dude.
Oh, I can't
I
wait
miss the
either.
Globe so much.
Yeah, and I hope that because of what's going on in the world right now and like the pandemic and all that fun stuff, they probably can continue to do off the cuff this summer with the drive-in movies. And I really hope that they do. Is Calgary International like canceled at all, or are they just is it pending right now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that TIFF is doing like half online, half in theater. So
Ooh, we might have to check that out.
we might be able to see some of it. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like it might be kind of worth it. But yeah, so that was Calgary Underground Film Festival. But we also have a really fascinating announcement to make. Hey, Podcast Bot 8000. Hey guys, it's me, Podcast Bot 8000. Guess what happened during Cuff this year, and you guys completely forgot.
What's that?
You guys hit 300 episodes.
Oh, broke off another hundo?
You broke off a third hundo.
Damn.
And so what that means
a lot
is
of episodes, a lot of hours of content
Is
that
it the-
people don't like.
the boys are going to get a week off from watching movies, kind of, because on the next episode of Movie Epidemic coming out next week, the boys are counting down the top 50 best movies of all time.
Wow, we did it before.
We did it once before,
did it
but
at
let
100.
Let me tell you something. In the last 200 episodes, my opinion on films has changed. It's very,
I saw 3,000 films.
yeah, it's very, very different between
I saw 3,000 films in between there.
in that time.
I did the math.
Yeah, I think I saw like 1,200. Still a lot.
Since our last episode, counting down the 50 best movies of all time, 200 episodes ago, I saw 3,000 more films.
And in the last 200 episodes, I've seen some of the best movies I've ever seen.
yeah, because I made you watch Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, you did make me watch Do the Right Thing, which may or may not appear on my list. You'll have to go check out next week. That's gonna be a huge episode. It's gonna be like a
celebration.
Blast. It's a celebration of film, and we're just at a point where I can't talk about movies like This Should Not Exist anymore, or fucking Sleeze Lake, or fucking Bloody Nose Empty Pox. I can't talk about this shit. I can only talk about good movies for a little while. So that's
as in episode 303, I make you watch a new Will Ferrell movie.
and I make you watch a Kevin Bacon movie. My bad. No, I might make you watch something worse. I don't know.
Well, why don't you tell them about the Patreon there, bud?
Head on over to patreon.com/movieepidemic for only $2 a month to
It's
get
usually not as loud as this episode.
Yeah. For an extra $2, you get an additional podcast every week, every Wednesday. And for an extra $3, you get an additional podcast on Friday as well, which is based on an episode of Star Trek or a Star Trek film. As well, if you pay $99 via our Patreon, you get all of our notebooks,
We'll send you this.
all of our finished notebooks and our currently active notebooks. We'll just send them to you half full if you pledge before we fill it up. But these are our notebooks. These have some of the craziest notes. We're just gonna find a weird one. We're gonna just open up to a random page and let's see what we got. Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge. Let me see what we got here. The whole hell sequence has really set this thing off the rails. You get more stuff like that. That's a bad one. They think this thing where Johnny thinks it's a movie never gets old. Hey, if you've seen the movie, that is a funny joke, actually. So that will all be on our Patreon at patreon.com/movieepidemic. If you want to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, that's all at Movie Epidemic. Go to movieepidemic.com down here to get to all of our stuff like YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, etc. iTunes. I don't like to mention iTunes because iPhones are for babbies. But you can check that all out at
It's
Movie
on there,
Epidemic.
though, but actually just use Spotify if you have an iPhone. That's what I found, because that podcast app is terrible.
Yes, absolutely. I have the Google Play podcast app as well.
That sounds also bad.
Yeah, and
I think use Spotify.
And I had Podbean for a
if
little
you
while.
have to listen to it. If you're not going to watch it on YouTube, our beautifully crafted show, then listen to it on Spotify. I think
that's always
that'll
where
be
I
your
listen
best
to.
experience.
Yeah, I never have a problem with Spotify. So check it out on Spotify, and wherever it is you listen to podcasts, whatever. If that's what you do, that's what you do. But check us out on YouTube, guys. We work really hard on the video for this, and you get the posters here too. Right here, so you can
Good
actually,
show.
Yeah.
People have said it's a good show.
People have said it's a good show. We are funny. It's like Charlie Rose, but for movies.
Right. Kind of. I don't know if it is.
Kind of.
Is it?
No.